Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Dennis. Welcome to Patinacode. This is So You Want to Build an AD.
I'm cold right out. I'm done. Come on.
Hello again, everybody, and thank you for tuning in for this edition of So You Want to Build an AD, powered by LS Fabrication. And behind me, you can see we are working on some filler, spreading some bondo, spreading the magic. You know, that's what my dad calls it, spreading the magic. There's a lot of work to do left on trench coat here. And today, speaking of spreading some filler, we're going to go into the part of where we are working on cleaning up the dash, where we had got all that fixed up from where it was hacked up, and the upper sight windows. Up here in the top here, they had hacked out holes and put speakers in. We cut those out. You've seen in previous episodes, and we put our own little bead roll piece of panel in there. So today we're going to alleviate the little bit of damage that we got in there, but we're going to take care of a lot of damage that we have up here on the dash, and we're going to be using some epoxy. We're going to get right into this, and I'll let you guys see what I did to straighten and level all this stuff out. So without further ado, let's hop into this video. So before we get into doing this little bezel set up here on our dash, I want to introduce you guys to an alternative to Bondo. This is just some JB Weld epoxy. You have the hardener, you have the epoxy, and it's much like Bondo. You mix it together, boom, you set it on there. And it's quite simple to use. I'm going to experiment. We used this on my dad's truck, Rat Body 2. We did just some small little filling with it. He had a gun rack that was in the truck, and of course that left holes. So he had just the little tubes of it. He's like, I want to try this on there. And I was like, why not? I was getting ready to mix up some Bondo, you know, and he's like, hey, let's try this. That's fine. We'll try that. And it's held up. He's had it on the truck for 2 years now, and it has shown no signs of wear or chafing or cracking or anything like that. Granted, it's in the interior. He did put some on the outside of the truck, on the outer fender. He drilled holes because he thought he was going to run the old style mirrors off the cowl here, and he bought them, drilled the holes, put them on. He didn't like them because, you know, they're funky. They're like, you know, he's like, I don't like that shit. I'm taking this shit off of here. So he's like, nah, I got holes in my truck. And it's a patina rod. So anyway, once again, he grabbed this JB Weld epoxy, smeared the holes, and it's been on there for 2 years. Nothing's happened. So you can paint it, you can sand it, you can build it. I don't know how thick you can build it, but you can apply another coat over top of the coat. So I've got some up here on the dash, and it says it cures, well, it's ready in 6 minutes, but it takes 48 hours. Matter of fact, let me just read the package. All the guessing. Oh, let me see. It says instructions. Prepare clean area. Okay, we already know not to have dirt, rust, grease, and all that nonsense. It says dry. That's what we need to know about. Sets in 6 minutes. Cures, that's the key. Cures, that means it's workable. You can start sanding on it. Cures in 4 to 6 hours. If temperature is below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, then set time is longer. So that means it'll take longer if it's less than 40 degrees or less. So we're gonna put this on the interior of our truck, and I've seen it work. And that's the only reason why I'm telling you guys about it. I have no affiliation with JB Weld or anything like that, but you know, I know that this happens to be a pretty decent product for filling, you know, light things like drill holes and stuff like that. It works perfect. You can sand it down, get a smooth finish. We did a lot of work up here on the dash where they hacked up the radio area because they cut it all out, all messed up, and then try to put a newer age aftermarket radio in there, which was bigger than the old style one. They just made a mess, so I cut it out, did my patchwork, and we need to get it fixed up. So we're going to use this. We're also going to use this up here above the sight windows in our 5-window cab, where I put the bead, I call them bead rolled panels, but the bead rolled panels. So we're going to cover up our work there. And I think this is going to come in really handy and work really well on this. So I'll show you about how we go about mixing it. So this is a quite simple, straightforward process. You need a clean piece of working material. This is an old piece of sheet metal that we have, the best working surface. And the cool thing about this is it's like my palette. Once I get enough spots on here, well, I'll take the wire wheel, clean it off, and we'll be back to the bare metal. So you want to spread equal parts of hardener, which is the white, and you just want to put you a little dollop on there. So you just have to guesstimate the amount that you want to use per the area that you're working on. And then you spread the same amount of the actual epoxy. And so it's kind of like Bondo in that respect, but then the Bondo, you add a lot less hardener. And you could add more hardener to this, but it's going to set up quicker. So you only got a 6-minute working time to work with this. Now I need my spoon. And all we do, take our little spoon, as I call it, or spatula, spades, whatever, and we just mix it up. And it's not going to change colors. It's going to be like black. Now, if you add more hardener or less of the actual epoxy, then it would be a grayish color. But again, you want to do it in equal parts so that you have that much more time to work with it. That's the key here. So once you get it all mixed up and lathered up, you know, and you're satisfied with the consistency and the look of it, just scoop you some up on your little spreader and you spread it.
So we're going over our area that we've already done, and as I said, you can stack it. I just don't know how much you can stack it. With this area is pretty messed up, and I mean, I fixed it pretty good, but it needs some smear coats. Plus I got behind it and I was dimpling it as I was beating it out because I didn't quite get it straight as I thought it was. Roughly. Anyway, we're going to be using our DA to knock this down. So, you know, the DA is going to take care of it, and it's going to leave everything in the high spots and it's going to make sure that we have no low spots. And this batch here I've mixed. You can see it's a little lighter color than the other, and it's hardened. The other up there, it's hardened up. And so I got a little extra hardener in this batch, which it's not a big deal. I'm gonna hurry up and make another batch so I can finish skimming over this.
We have our epoxy laid out. We have it across our dash, and yeah, you can see where I was dragging through it. And you know, it's dry, but it has to cure. We also have it up here in our corner windows, and we smeared a little bit right there in the corner. There was some pitting there on the dash. So it's 40 degrees right now here, and this is January the 30th, 2021 in the state of Missouri. We had snow on the ground yesterday, folks. So we're gonna let this sit overnight. We're not gonna start sanding or any of that. We're gonna let it cure. We have the heat on in here, so obviously it's more than 40 degrees in the building. So our epoxy has set up, it's dried, it's cured, it's ready to be worked. So we're gonna break out the electric DA, and we've covered our area where we've painted with plastic.
And people are probably like, you damn fool, why did you even paint? Well, I took advantage of a warm day in January to get that part done. So we're going to still get a little bit of dust over things, but it won't be as strenuous to clean everything up as it would be if we didn't cover it. So we got the painted plastic out. Now we're going to go ahead and try to knock this down, get it flattened out, and see what we can do. All right, we've got it all sanded down, and it did pretty good. It filled in the low spots, as it should, as if you were using filler. I'm gonna take it one step further though. I'm pleased with the way it sanded down. We got a lot of it sanded out, and we got all the spots filled, but there's still, like right here, I got a little crazy, but it's a low spot here and then a high spot there. And then the same goes for up here. We got a little bit of a low spot, and it looks good on the camera. But the best way with doing these procedures, filling, using filler and stuff like that, body work, is not using your eyes. You have to use your hands, your fingers. You have to feel with your fingers, because your fingers will tell the true story. Like right here, everything from this point, it looks like you could throw on some primer and paint and you'd be good to go. But you see right there, that's a low spot. So instead of going back with more of the epoxy, we're gonna go ahead and go over this with Bondo. And we're gonna start up here on the dash, because again, it looks really good. But when you feel it, there's a low spot right here. And I know that I can use Bondo to build this up. It's not gonna be super thick, but it's gonna build it, and then it's easier to manipulate Bondo. After working with this is hard. This is like steel, you know, and it did really well covering where we had the previous work. Now we're gonna go ahead and go back to Bondo, and you see it's all roughed up so that we got some tooth in our metal for our Bondo to adhere and not come loose. And then we're gonna begin just smoothing some on, and then we'll sand it down, and then everything will be flush, because it's all nice. All this is nice until you get right here. It's a low spot, but I'm gonna go ahead and smear across, and smear up there. I forgot there's a high spot here and a low spot there, so we're gonna build that up. And then we're gonna get our piece for the speaker and put it up there. And what that's gonna do is tell me this isn't gonna be the piece that we're gonna be using. But by installing this, we're gonna be able to know, well, if I can get it up there. In a second, there we go. Now, by installing this, this gives us an idea of the clearance that we got. So once it's snug down, you see there's a little bit of a gap, and there's gonna be a gap there. But right through here, it's a little more so than when you get down here. So we want this same gap right here, and that's gonna take a little bit of filling. So just some minor things that we have to do, and it's gonna work out pretty good. But bottom line, in the story, that epoxy did really well as far as filling in things and getting down in the crevices where we'd weld it and sand it, and then it covered up a few low spots. It raised them up. So now we're gonna go back, like I said, to the age-old standard, which is the Bondo. So right now we're spreading a little magic, roughing in, you know, getting everything fixed up. We got that spot left to get down. Then of course, the masterpiece up here that I was left with to have to re-edition. So anyway, we're gonna get that smoothed out. Then hopefully by the end of the day, I'll be laying some primer, because we got primer on all of our shit. And we'll just have to go through and finish sanding in, roughing in the Bondo and the filler, getting it smoothed out, and then it'd be time to prime this fucker. Got the roof done, and of course all the floors and behind the shit's done. So yeah, working on it, man.
So we got our spot putty put in place, as you can see, and it's just like Bondo. The kind that I got was the kind that requires the hardener, same as the Bondo. It's the exact same stuff that comes in the Bondo. And the only thing is that this is not a filler. This is spot putty. It's a glazing putty. It's to fill in any little nicks, scratches, you know, once you're doing your Bondo. And it's safe to use on primer, which we've got that side straightened out. There was a spot there I didn't like. And as you can see over there, there was a spot there that had a little nick in it. So we're going to fill it with the spot putty and then sand that all down and then get it repainted up with the primer. And then once we're done with that, we'll go across the dash, get this sanded down, and then lay some primer. Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Dennis. Welcome to Patina Code. As you can see, we still have the cab flipped over on its back side, and we did get the roof completely knocked off. It's all sanded off, everything's cleaned off. We did really good yesterday. Today, what I want to show you is my planning for the future. You know, I'm always thinking ahead on the build of one of these vehicles, and we're going to be running air ride on this truck. And one of the things some of you might not know, and some of you might know, that the whole top of the truck, the whole firewall and everything, it's all going to be shaved. You know, it's completed with the LS fabrication panels. And to maintain that nice, clean, flawless look up front on the firewall, you have to hide the lines. That's one of the tricky things about building a custom vehicle, where you want to hide the lines with the shaved firewall. So knowing that we need air lines in this truck, we went through the pre-stages of finding hiding places for everything. Like, we already got our hiding places for our wires to come out, and now we're finding hiding places for the airline running through this truck. So I'm gonna get the truck flipped over and I'll show you how we're gonna route these lines. But right now, I just wanna show you real quick where these lines are at in this truck in relation to how they're gonna go out and up and through the truck. So you look right here at the bottom of the cab, you can see there's a few holes. We have a few holes here. These are going to be holes. We're going to have one here for the amplifier. We're going to have one here for our brake light, signal light going out to the rear of the truck. And then you get over here and you see our bulkhead fittings. These are our airline bulkhead fittings. They're going to be coming here and then running back to the rear side of the truck. And this hole here is going to be just a contingency hole in case I forgot to add something. But if we do not need that hole, we're going to plug it with the rubber grommet and everything will be fine. So being it that we're going to be routing our wire and our line through this pillar section of the truck, this is the backside. So this is the B pillar. And right underneath the cab, you have the spot right there. We're going to drill a hole. It's closed off right now, so we couldn't pass anything through there. So we're going to drill a big enough hole to where we can fit our airline to come down and make its way to where we have our bulkhead fittings and our outlets to attach our airline. So we need to get in here and start drilling. So I'm going to get into that, and then we'll put a rubber grommet around the steel. And what we want to be careful for is not to drill into any of the spot welds. You can kind of see where to and where not to drill. So we're going to be drilling a little bit below and in between where the two spot welds there. We have our airline. Now check this out. We got our hole drill, and well, if I don't make a fool of myself, we should see the airline coming out at the top here, somewhere up here. But you know what? There he is. I was gonna say we could reach up in there and probably grab it and feel it, but oh hell, I was trying to go that away and we need to go that way. Anyway, we're gonna get this through here and it will follow that channel. There's a channel up through here and it will run all the way up through the A pillar and come out.
I know it's just weird because we're looking at the cab upside down, but it'll come out right here at the dash down through here. And this is the wires for the dome light, which is down there. So we got to run a couple more lines through here, and we got enough line to run, you know, I could build probably, who knows how many air lines I could build out of that. And we'll run that up and we'll get a good estimate because we want it to come out down here under the dash. The actual switches for the air ride, we have a hole drilled. We're gonna have one there, and then so on through these ribs. So we need to get it out and we get a good estimate on what we need our line length to be. Then we'll drag this back out, cut the extra lines that we need, and then run them all back through there. And then when we're done with that, we'll go ahead and put our rubber grommet where we just chamfered out the steel there. So we won't have any rubbing issues, but they will connect right there. And then these would go, as I showed you before, to the bottom and outside of the vehicle and run inside of the chassis, and we will mount them to the chassis and then get them where they need to be. All right, so we have one line left to go, and I'm gonna show you exactly how I do this. And hopefully it helps you guys out if you think this is a good way to, to run your line. So we have the airline, we have a fitting, a union. So what we're gonna do is get our line spooled out. All right. And we're gonna start from right here at the bottom of the dash, and we're gonna run this airline up and into the A pillar as we spool out the line, and eventually, it'll come out up here on the roof. So you get a little more slack in your airline. And this would work too for wiring things such as speakers and whatnot. So now you get our union, plug our union in. Now you have the lines that are down here already fed through the truck. So what we're going to do now is feed one of these ends back up through our hole and get it to come out up here at the top where our line is. All right. There he is. And then what you got to do is connect the union. These push connect airlines are awesome. Whenever I do air ride on the truck, that's exactly what I do. And then you just simply feed the line back through the truck by pulling on the line that's connected to the union. And if you drilled a big enough hole, you'll have your airline coming out the other end. You simply disconnect that one, keep a hold of the one that you got going, give yourself a little more feed, and do your best to keep it off of the other lines as far as coming through the hole. You don't want to scrape up your airline. Give yourself a lot of line there. And since I made them all silver, you got to kind of pay attention. So most of you guys will use black line, but being that the truck is going to be some parts silver, we want a little bit of silver line here. So that's enough feed to get out to our bulkheads that are down here on the floor. It's safe
to disconnect from that end, and the end up top. Here we are right here. You just leave that over to where you believe the designated spot's gonna be. As always, you cut a little more off of it than what you normally would need, just for the sake of having some extra length. It's always good to have extra rather than not enough. And that's how I made my hideaway airlines for this truck. So that way, when everything's all said and done, you won't be able to see anything. You'll just know that the truck is performing its functions with the air ride, but you won't be able to see any of the lines. You'll hear them when they disengage stuff, you know, but you won't be able to see where the lines are running to and from the parts. And that's the whole thing with making something custom. So I hope this helps somebody out. And I just do this because no one ever showed me anything. And not saying at all that I know everything and I'm this great builder. Oh, I'm the best, you know. No, not saying that. I'm just saying that a regular person can achieve some pretty cool stuff. And sometimes people need a little bit of help. And I'm not saying, since no one ever showed me anything, you know, that makes me better than anybody. I just sat here and figured it out. I started looking at things and like, okay, this goes there, this goes there. 47, 54, 47 to 72 Chevy trucks, they're antiquated. They're simple, you know. So you can kind of just, once you tear them apart, you start seeing different things. And that's how I kind of figure things out along the way. It's by tearing things apart and realizing how this went back together to this and to that. So that's all it is. It's nothing special. And I read a lot of books and a lot of manuals on these particular vehicles. So I'm nobody special. I just took the time to figure some stuff out, and I'm just sharing it with you guys because I think it's pretty cool. And I think some of you out there think it's pretty cool to have some custom, pretty trick stuff too. So hope this helps you guys. Thanks for watching. Stay with me.
Step aside and get right by